when I was running the honor guard at Whiteman and all the success we had, I was convinced that I had cracked the code. Like, I figured this out. Let's go. Right. And then I got to Eglin and it was like, because I was afraid, I had to relearn my job. I made I was making mistakes. I was afraid to ask dumb questions. I'm a master sergeant. It's not, I felt so embarrassed to ask like things that I've forgotten or that have changed. And suddenly I was struggling. I went from here to holy cow, like this is hard. And then the certain different personalities that I was running into, just the whole, it's so different base to base, situation to situation. You truly can't figure it out. What would you recommend to someone like me who has seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, and is new and is struggling in a new work center with different challenges when they came in thinking that they were going to absolutely crush it? What would you tell someone like me?
I would tell you that it's, you were telling your story and I was like, that was pretty much my last assignment in the Air Force too, right? Like I retired, I was a graduated squadron commander, graduated group commander. And then suddenly I go to be the PA officer for the chairman. And I hadn't been in PA for years. And so I felt lost. I felt, and it was a crazy year too, right? And so I often thought the exact same thing, like I'm a colonel, I should know how to do this. And I'm asking these majors who seem to be like better at this than I am right now. And so it caused a ton of doubt and uncertainty. And
so you've been through it.
Yeah, I showed up badly.
I got to hear this then. You got me completely interested now. I'm like taking notes over here.
Here's what I would tell you. Like, I didn't listen to myself in this moment, but I would hope that there isn't a single job we go into in the Air Force for any of us. I would hope there isn't a single job where we go, yeah, I got this. This is going to be easy. No problem. I could do this in my sleep. Because if we did that, we'd be bored. And then we'd be apathetic, right? And then we wouldn't be bringing our best selves. And so it's a pretty smart system that the Air Force is constantly putting you in a job that may be a little out of your comfort zone, because it's by putting you in jobs that are out of your comfort zone that are going to push and grow and challenge you and build your confidence for that next time they put you in a job that's out of your comfort zone. But every job you go into is probably, if you're doing it right, should be out of your comfort zone, because that's how we grow. And so we grow into these jobs. And so what I would tell you is, welcome to the stretch. Like, we have to get more clear on every job is a job we may not be familiar with. I'm going to share a story with you real quick. When I was at Barksdale, I had just been selected for group command. At the time, the sitting commander called me up. Remember, I said I'm a public affairs officer by trade. And like it or not, there is a cultural belief sometimes in our Air Force, or at least I've experienced it, where people would be like, you're a public affairs officer? How did you become an MSG? And so, or how did you become a squadron commander? And the underlying comment there is, we don't think PAs can lead, right? And so I was used to that. I had experienced it several times. I had some people who were actually very explicit and say to me, I don't think public affairs officers can lead, which now I get to be like, na.
Oh, they can lead. Obviously.
So, I forgot where I was. Oh, so, the sitting commander calls me up to, in theory, congratulate me for being selected for group command. And they say to me, I don't know why we're getting the public affairs officer. I guess you can help us with our strategic messaging.
Oh my goodness.
And so I said, oh, okay, right. And so I get a shame narrative in my head of, I'm not good enough. I shouldn't be in this job. I shouldn't have been selected. And so I show up at that base with a narrative in my head of they don't want me. They don't want me here. Right. And then I meet my new commander, and there had been a change of command. And my new commander was amazing. One of the most incredible leaders I've ever had the honor of working with. To this day, adore him. And so I was in one of our first few 06 meetings. And we're in that meeting, and every time I would give him an update on something happening in the mission support group, he would turn to the vice wing commander as if to validate, is what she's telling me legit? Because the vice wing commander had been there. He was kind of the continuity. He had been there a year. Remember, I'm new, the wing commander's new. And he's turning to the vice wing commander. And if the vice wing commander gave him the nod, then he would be like, okay, thank you. And I noticed this. Now, the story I have in my head is they don't want me. And then I see him validating everything I say with the vice wing commander. And so I start to do what I think most sane people would do. I start to get all like, oh, no, you didn't. And I start like just spiraling in my head, right? Like,
isn't that the worst?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. That is just torture when you're like, you're just picturing all these scenarios that are just never going to happen and how you would, what you would say or do. Oh.
And so in my head, I'm like, if you don't want me here, I'll go. Like, I don't need to put up with this. I'll go back to public affairs. They like me in public affairs. I don't need to put up with this crap. If you don't want me here, if you're not going to trust me, like that's all going on in my head, right? Like that shame narrative, like, oh, it's creating some drama now. And so over a couple of days, I work up everything. I get myself all spun up. I'm going to go into the wing commander's office and I'm going to say to him, like, if you don't want me here, tell me to go, blah, blah, blah. I go in, I sit down, I'm prepared to talk to him after that meeting. Like I have got I've built my courage, spun myself up, and I'm going to have a conversation with him. And I'm sitting there kind of stewing, and I watch the operations group commander say something to him. And in that moment, I saw him turn to the vice wing commander and look for the same assurance he had been looking for when I gave him input. And what I realized in that moment was that it wasn't me, it was him. Like, I'm a new group commander. I've never been a group commander. I don't know what it means to lead squadron commanders. He's a new wing commander. He's never been a wing commander. He's a B1 guy leading a B-52 wing. There's all kinds of new stuff for him. There's all kinds of new stuff for me as an MSG. CE, COM, like all of those missions are new. I mean, I'm aware of them because I've been in the Air Force, but I don't know them. And I thought, he is as new at his job as I am at my job. And we're all right now trying to figure this out. And so I realized he's trying just as hard to get up to speed in his role as I am in getting up in my role. And it's got nothing to do with me. And I had created this unbelievable story in my head. And so I thought, I'm going to let it go for now. And then to be honest, I don't ever remember seeing it again. And so the truth is, the Air Force always puts every single one of us. I know so many of my airmen would look at me as a squadron commander and think man, they have it all figured out. Or the squadron commanders look at the group commanders and go, wow, they have it all figured out. And group commanders look at the wing commanders and think, or the 1-star or the 2-star, they have it all figured out. But the big lie is none of us have it 100% figured out. We all have different tools and skills and practices we're building along the way that make us a little more prepared, but all of us are stepping into something new. And all of us are being challenged to rise to that next level. And all of us are being asked to be the leaders we could be versus just the leaders we are. So we got to give each other we got to cut each other some slack.
You made me feel a lot better. Because now I'm like, you know what? This is normal.
Yes,
I'm out of my comfort zone for a reason. That's the intent.
Yes.
I'm not the only one out of my comfort zone. I'm one of many.
And you know what works? Here's the secret then. The people who can be out of that comfort zone and get curious, ask for help, lean on others, they get through it. People who are in that comfort zone and armor up because they're terrified of it, they can't handle the uncertainty, the risk that comes with that. They armor up and they protect. They never get through it. It never gets easier.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. I just want to keep talking to you. My battery's going to die. And I'm like, no. You're gonna have to have it too, DeDe.
Let me know if it's helpful. We'll do it again because I love it. Oh my
gosh. No, like I'm legitimately learning, from you, just like anyone listening would be. So it's been a really cool experience to spend time with you. Someone that I've read about, I've seen your videos, and then to actually hang out with you and talk with you. I had to put that self-talk out of my head just to talk to you. I'm like, should I be talking to this person? I don't know.
Well, that makes both of us, right? Like, I'm also like, why would they want me on the podcast? Like, we all have this.
Yeah. But honestly, you're freaking kick-ass person. You know what? You cussed on this episode, so I'm allowed to cuss now. And I'll just put the little explicit on the episode and then we'll be okay.